I, 28F, was standing there, trying to process the fact that my dad was gone. The funeral home felt cold, even though it was packed with people who'd come to say goodbye. My dad wasn't just my father, he was my best friend, the person I called when anything, good or bad, happened in my life. He'd been there for every milestone, every heartbreak, every triumph. Now he was gone, and I felt like half of me had been ripped away from my chest. That's when my Aunt Karen approached me at the reception. She was my dad's younger sister, and she'd always been different from him, where he was generous and thoughtful. She was calculating and cold. She walked up to me with dry eyes, not a trace of grief on her face. She looked around the room like she was taking inventory of everything. "Look, this is all terribly sad," she said, "but we have to be practical. The house is mine." I stared at her, certain I'd misheard. We were at my father's funeral reception. People were still crying, still sharing memories of him, and she was talking about property. "What are you even talking about?" I said. "We're at my dad's funeral." Karen raised her voice, making sure the relatives nearby could hear every word. "He promised it to me years ago," she said. "It's always been understood. You're young. You can find an apartment. I need to get the paperwork started next week." The room seemed to spin around me. People were staring now, whispering behind their hands. My cheeks burned with humiliation and rage. How could she do this here? Now, in front of everyone? My dad had been buried just hours ago, and she was already trying to take his home. My childhood home. The place where all my memories of him lived and breathed. Karen had always been like this. Growing up, I'd watched her come to my dad whenever she needed money. She'd cry about her latest crisis, and he'd write her a check without hesitation. He paid for her car when she crashed the last one. He bailed her out when her business failed spectacularly. He covered her rent more times than I could count, but it was never enough for her. She always wanted more, always had her hand out. My dad used to shake his head after she left. "Your aunt thinks the world owes her everything," he'd say. "One day she'll learn that greed leaves you with nothing." I never understood what he meant until now, standing there at his funeral while she tried to rob me. The whispers followed me for the rest of the reception. Family members looked at me with pity, some with curiosity, wondering if what Karen said was true. Had my dad really promised her the house? It seemed impossible, but Karen was so confident, so sure of herself. For the first time since my dad died, I felt truly and completely alone. The harassment started the very next day. My phone buzzed constantly with texts from Karen. "Have you started packing yet?" One message read, "I'm having a realtor come by on Friday. Make sure the place is clean," said another. She sent them at all hours, waking me up at 3 a.m. with demands about furniture she wanted to keep and renovations she planned to make to my father's home. I tried to reason with her. Can we please just wait until the will is read?" I texted back. This is what Dad would have wanted. Everything done properly and legally. Her response was immediate and cruel. "Stop being selfish," she wrote. "You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. I'm in my 50s. I need this house. Your father understood that, even if you don't." The stress was absolutely unbearable. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I walked through my dad's house, I wondered if I'd have to leave it soon. Would I have to pack up his things, box up our memories, and hand over the keys to Karen? The thought made me physically sick, but her certainty planted a seed of doubt in my mind. What if there was some conversation I didn't know about? What if my dad had made her a promise years ago? 3 days after the funeral, I got a call from Mr. Evans, my father's lawyer. His voice was calm and professional, a welcome change from Karen's constant attacks. "The will reading is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon," he said. "I need both you and your Aunt Karen to be present." "Of course," I said. "I will both be there." "There's one more thing," Mr. Evans said. "Your father was very meticulous. He left his formal will and also a personal letter. He gave me very specific instructions that the letter is only to be read aloud if your aunt contests the contents of the will in any way. My heart skipped a beat. A letter? My dad had thought of everything, planned for every possibility. Even in death, he was still looking out for me, still protecting me from his sister's greed. The next day, I sat in Mr. Evans's office, my hands trembling in my lap. Karen sat across from me, radiating smugness and confidence. She'd dressed up for the occasion, wearing an expensive suit like she was about to close a major business deal. She kept checking her watch, impatient to get what she thought was coming to her. She'd even brought a folder with her, probably full of her plans for the house. Mr. Evans cleared his throat and began reading the will. It was simple and direct, just like my dad had always been. To my beloved daughter, I leave my entire estate, he read. This includes my house, all my savings, my car, and all personal possessions. She has been the light of my life, and I trust her to handle everything with the grace and wisdom she's always shown. The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. Then Karen exploded like a bomb. "That's impossible," she said. "It's a forgery. He promised me that house. She manipulated him. She turned him against me when he was sick and vulnerable. I'll sue. I'll fight this with everything I have." Mr. Evans waited patiently for her to finish her tirade. Then he looked at her over his glasses, his expression grave and serious. "Karen, your brother anticipated you might feel this way," he said. "As you have officially contested the will, I am now legally obligated to read his final letter to you." Karen's face went completely pale. For the first time since this all started, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Mr. Evans pulled out another envelope and began to read. From the first word, I could hear my father's voice, as clear as if he was sitting right there with us in that office. "My dearest daughter," the letter began, "if you're hearing this, it means I'm gone, but my love for you remains eternal. You have been my greatest joy, my proudest achievement. The house is yours, as is everything else, because you are the only person who ever loved me for who I was, not what I could give you." Mr. Evans paused, then continued reading. "My dear sister, if this is being read, it means your greed has once again blinded you to everything else." Karen's mouth fell open in shock. She started to speak, but Mr. Evans held up his hand and kept reading my father's words. "Let me remind you of some facts you seem to have forgotten," the letter continued. "Over the past 30 years, I have given you a total of $143,000. I paid off your credit cards 7 times. I bought you 2 cars when you wrecked them. I funded 3 of your failed business ventures. I paid your rent for 2 full years when you claimed you couldn't work. Not once did you pay me back a single penny. Not once did you even say thank you." Karen's face turned red, then white as snow. She gripped the arms of her chair so hard her knuckles went completely white. "You're now claiming I promised you my house," the letter went on. "Let me refresh your memory about that conversation. You came to me 5 years ago, crying about being evicted again. I told you that you'd always have a roof over your head, meaning I would never let you be homeless. You heard what you wanted to hear, that I would give you my house and leave my own daughter with nothing. Your greed twisted my kindness into a promise I never made." Tears rolled down my cheeks. Even after death, my dad was protecting me, fighting for me, making sure I was safe. "I have left you exactly $1 in my will," Mr. Evans continued reading. "This is to ensure you cannot claim you were accidentally forgotten. You have a choice now. You can take this dollar and walk away, or you can beg my daughter for her forgiveness. She is a kinder soul than you deserve. The roof over your head is now entirely in her hands." The letter ended with one final, devastating line. "Greed leaves you with nothing, Karen. I tried to teach you that in life. Perhaps my death will finally make the lesson clear." Mr. Evans folded the letter and looked at Karen. She sat frozen in her chair, her face drained of all color and life. The smug confidence was gone, replaced by complete and utter devastation. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out at all. Finally, she grabbed her purse and fled the office. She didn't say goodbye, didn't look at me, didn't even take her copy of the will. She just ran, her expensive heels clicking against the floor as she escaped her complete humiliation. I sat in the lawyer's office for a long time after she left, holding the copy of my dad's letter. Mr. Evans gave me a kind smile. "Your father was a very good man," he said. "He knew exactly what would happen, and he made absolutely sure you were protected." That night, I sat in my dad's house, my house now, and felt at peace I hadn't experienced since he died. The constant texts from Karen had stopped completely. Her threats were meaningless now. Everyone in the family knew the truth about her greed and lies. I heard through various family members that Karen was telling people the letter was fake, that I had somehow tricked my dad or forged the whole thing, but no one believed her. They'd all witnessed her behavior at the funeral, seen her greed firsthand. Some of them had been there when my dad had helped her over the years, writing check after check while she never said thank you. My dad had given her so many chances to be better, to be the sister he deserved. Instead, she'd tried to steal from his daughter at his own funeral. Now she had exactly what she'd earned, $1 and the contempt of everyone who knew the truth. I walked through the house, touching the walls, looking at the photos of my dad and me together. This was our place, filled with our memories, our laughter, our love. Karen had tried to take it all, but my dad had known she would. He'd planned for it, prepared for it, and made sure that his final act would be protecting me from her greed. The house was mine, the memories were mine, and Karen was left with nothing but the consequences of her own greed. My dad's final lesson to her had been delivered perfectly, and justice had been served completely. In trying to take everything, she'd lost the only family she had left. The revenge was complete, and it was sweeter than she could have ever imagined when she made her announcement at his funeral. As I fell asleep in my childhood bedroom that night, I could almost hear my dad's voice echoing in my mind. "I told you, sweetheart," he would have said. "Greed leaves you with nothing." And Karen had finally learned that lesson. Far too late to matter anymore.